Dad was a professional baseball player, not when he got here, but actually how they got here was my grandpa was an Olympic boxer.
Okay.
So he was in Panama, born and raised, and moved here, his family, through the Olympics.
And so it seems like just generationally, athleticism has been in the blood.
Yeah,
Just on dad's side or mom too, a little bit of athletes?
Mom has 2 NFL players, 1 current.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, Tevin Coleman.
Yeah.
He was Indiana's one of the best running backs to ever go to University of Indiana.
Yeah.
So Jets, Falcons, Super Bowls, 2 of them.
Man, so it sounds like your guys' DNA, you guys got a lot of athleticism in there.
Yeah, they'd say we're born for it. A lot of people say.
Yeah, but you definitely work for it. All right, so we got another episode of Adversity Kings. Awesome episode. First MLB player. And what's your name again?
Tyler Acosta.
I didn't want to mess the last name up because I was
Acosta.
looking at I was like Acosta. And I was like,
Acosta.
I've been letting people just introduce themselves completely, and I'll get flamed on TikTok. People are like, you don't even know their name. I was like, this is probably close to our 200th episode, so it's like, 40, 50 times I'm messing people's names up. I just kind of
Let them.
now I know Tyler Acosta, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So, awesome, bro. Before we jump into everything, I wanted to just kind of touch a few things out for those of you that consistently watch the podcast. Now that I think it was November 11th. I was just looking while we were talking. You're good. Don't worry about it. November 11th, 2021, we posted our first podcast, and now we're literally, we've probably got published 140 something podcasts. We've probably recorded 200. I was telling somebody the other day, like every 10, 15, 20 we record, always lose one or don't publish one. And I never considered that in the very beginning. I remember listening to a Joe Rogan episode or something. It's like for every X amount of episodes, they lose one or they don't publish one. And people don't take into consideration how much work goes into doing good work.
I think that's crazy for like a lot of people to like not look at it like that. When you have to have so much put together to then get that one diamond in the rough, that's like, there's my big hit.
Yeah.
Especially with TikTok nowadays.
And I feel like I've only had one really, not even a long form, but a short form video. Only that one video just gets likes every day. That jiu-jitsu video, Wagner.
That's the one I watched, actually.
Yeah. You know anything about jiu-jitsu?
No. Actually, it's funny that you say that. My neighbor my whole life was Jason Guida, which was Clay Guida's brother. Yeah. So I grew up my whole life, like, watching UFC. He would always come home, and, like, it was crazy. And I wanted to get into it. Never got into it. Never really got into jiu-jitsu.
Man, so let's talk about your life. Where were you born?
So I was born in Evanston, but I was born and raised in Barrington, Illinois.
Okay.
So a lot of people do know Barrington. They don't really like us, but
Barrington's
known as a town where it's a lot of rich white upbringing company.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like I wanted to move there to give myself the biggest opportunity to succeed.
Now, how did you move there? What were your parents doing to build up that success? Because you just told me are they immigrants?
Yeah. So both my parents were immigrants. Both came here with pretty much nothing and just careers that they wanted to strive to be great at. The best.
What would they do?
So my mom was a banker for like 25 years when she first got here, but that was due to my aunt working at the bank, and she was able to kind of get that connection going. And so that she used that kind of to get to me and my sister. My sister and I, we grew up in a tough, like, warming water up on the stove. Like, most people don't understand what that is. Like, you're the kid in the small house in the big community, and it's like the world's all on you.
Yeah.
So.
What about Dad?
Dad was a professional baseball player, not when he got here, but actually how they got here was my grandpa was an Olympic boxer.
Okay.
So he was in Panama, born and raised, and moved here, his family, through the Olympics.
And so it seems like just generationally, athleticism has been in the blood.
Yeah,
Just on dad's side or mom too, a little bit of athletes?
Mom has 2 NFL players, 1 current.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, Tevin Coleman. He was Indiana's one of the best running backs to ever go to University of Indiana. Yeah. So Jets, Falcons, Super Bowls, 2 of them.
Man, so it sounds like your guys' DNA, you guys got a lot of athleticism in there.
They'd say we're born for it. A lot of people say.
Yeah, but you definitely work for it. There might be some natural, skills and talents and things you're born with and different things like that, but that can only get you so far. You know what I mean? To get to that highest level and then excel there, you definitely gonna work for it. So what was more of the upbringing like for your parents? How'd they meet? What's some backstory on them?
So the backstory on how they met, I don't really know personally. I haven't really asked, but the real story on how I kind of came out, I was definitely not supposed to be here. Like, my parents were never married. Parents were never together. They just put everything together for me. Yeah. So they really were two different people. My mom doesn't really watch baseball, but my dad was a professional baseball player.
Yeah.
So I think he probably liked that about her, that she wasn't like some cleat chaser out here.
Yeah.
Just looking to be on the road to the big leagues with him.
Yeah.
You know, and I think he liked that about her. And I mean, my mom's a beautiful woman, so
Yeah.
I could see why he would do that as an
Yeah.
athlete.
Now, are they still together?
No, my parents were never together.
They're never together.
Yeah, never.
Okay. So were you raised in separate homes?
The craziest part about that is my parents did everything they could, so that meant they stayed together and lived together while they were not together, building their lives just for me.
And you're the youngest?
Youngest.
Okay, wow. So they did everything to completion until, okay. That's really unique.
Yeah.
That's really incredible. And then which one are you closest with?
I would say I'm closest with my dad only because we're on the road all the time for baseball, and, you know, we've gone through the hard, the bad.
Yeah.
My mom and I, our relationship is amazing. I mean, obviously I love my mom.
Yeah.
And she's done, I mean, I stay with her right now just to make sure
Yeah.
that I can, my professional baseball career, you know.
Yeah.
Most people don't know we don't make crazy amounts of money until you get that one big shot. And we were just talking
Yeah.
about that. You know, you could go 20 years in the minor leagues making.
Yeah. What was the kid's name that you just said?
Drew Maggie,
Drew Maggie.
33 years old.
What an incredible story. You know what I mean? As soon as I seen that, and I didn't get to truly dissect it, but 10 years of bouncing around through the minor leagues, you know what I mean? And I made an estimation of like maybe through minor league you make 40 to 50 grand a year. Like I would imagine you probably make just enough to live, that median income from America. And then from that to sign into, I would imagine $1 million. I don't know what the median income would be for an MLB contract, but I would imagine it'd be close to $1 million.
Yeah, the minimum I think is $550 to $575 in the big league. Something
so
like
I don't know if he signed a minimum or if he got a little above minimum or anything like that, but just the perseverance you have to have for, and you know, people are looking at the front end of 10 years of 23 to 33, but typically if he got that good to get to minor leagues by the time he was 23, there was probably 10 years prior to that. So it's really a 20-year journey minimum. You know what I mean? If he played baseball from 13 to 33, just in hopes of one day you could
make it to the big leagues.
Make a living. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even not even the big leagues, just make a living. You know what I mean?
True.
Because you know that I can't imagine that minor league income is to correspond with you know the dreams and aspirations that he'd have.
And I think that's like I can kind of see it from his perspective, maybe when he was younger, in a sense that, you know, he fought indie ball. We talk about like the jobs, like you can go to Mexico, you can go to Panama, you can go to Puerto Rico. There's all these different countries where you can grind and nobody will hear about your name.
Yeah.
Just the guys that you want to hear, like the MLB guys. You're trying to impress those guys.
Yeah.
The scouts. So going to those countries, you're in the worst conditions, you're getting the worst pay,
Yeah.
and you're just out there fighting every day for an at-bat.
No, why doesn't? So I used to watch the Little League World Series sometimes, and the little Chinese teams would be like, you know, killers. They'd be amazing. But I feel like you don't see a significant amount of Chinese MLB players. Why is that?
The reason that China is kind of like that is because they're so homegrown in the sense that they will stay at home and play baseball or they won't play at all. There's you see that in Japan.
Okay, yeah. So they have their own
League
and everything like that, and they'll take care of them and compensate.
China, Japan, and Korea have like a league where they're averaging 40,000 fans a game.
Okay.
And like you come to the big leagues here, it's like Oakland's getting 2,000 fans.
Yeah.
So like, would you rather play in front of people that know the game and love you?
Yeah. No, I never even took into consideration. You know what I mean? That's kind of how narrow-minded we can be as Americans sometimes. I just figured there's American MLB and there's nothing else. So,
Exactly. Yeah. No, and that's true. Most people see it that way, and then you go out to winter ball now, you can see the WBC. Countries like Japan are bringing guys we've never even heard of before and blowing out guys that have been in the big leagues for 20 years, 30 years, careers. You know?
Who would you say is the best baseball player in the league right now?
Shohei Ohtani.
And just in general?
In general, Shohei Ohtani, he hits the ball harder and further than anybody else, and he throws the ball just as hard as
And this is a Japanese or Chinese?
Japanese-born player. He was just won the WBC with Team Japan, actually.
Okay, but he plays in the MLB too?
Angels.
Yes. Okay,
with
he plays with the. Now, do you like the Angels a lot or you like the Sox?
Funny story there. Vladimir Guerrero was my godfather, and he played for the Angels his whole career, so I got to see a lot of Angels games as I was younger.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. So what's your favorite team?
The Phillies, because I never got to meet Ryan Howard and Jimmy Rollins.
The Phillies.
Yeah.
So that's Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Right. So the Pirates, I grew up watching a lot of the Pirates. We actually got 6 Pirate tickets to Pirates and the Cubs, and that is June 15th.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
shoot.
Decent seats. I think the Pirates picked up McCutchen again. Things have been on the up and up. I don't know what their record is, but it's very nostalgic. And Pennsylvania, I'd say with the Pirates, don't care. I don't feel like we care if they like win. It's more so like we're just excited. Like that's something fun to do. Like Pittsburgh's really big about their sports. Their sports. Baseball and football is math. I think there's an MLS team there too, and nobody cares about that. Oh yeah, the hockey. I mean, Sidney Crosby there. They put down a couple Stanley Cups. You know what I mean? When we were growing up, and that. All three experiences are insane. You know what I mean? So.
I'm actually a Steelers fan, so it's kind of funny to say that.
Yeah.
So Steeler towel, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm big on
See,
that.
I like the Cowboys from Arkansas. So.
Dallas.
Yeah. See, but yeah, dude, that's really incredible. So, what about? Did your parents ever share any like stories about more so like the tough side of immigration or just being even young in their countries growing up? Like anything stick out?
Yeah. So like my mom, she's very humble, and you can tell that from now. And so when she was growing up, she would talk about how there'd be, 15 people in the house, almost 20 people in the house at a time, and only a mother taking care of that.
Yeah.
No father,
Not working.
My mom was the oldest, so, they all look up to her. She got this whole foundation of people. My cousins and I talk about it. There's 100 of us here. We have a party or we have a graduation, 100 people are there.
Yeah.
100 people are supporting each other. Everybody's throwing dollars and singles at the graduate and stuff. Like, that's our family. And so when you look at my mom, it's like all that was built because of her taking care of 12 brothers and sisters in the middle of no money, middle of Africa, Liberia specifically.
Yeah.
And most people don't know Liberia is a slave-born state. So slaves were sent back to Liberia and given a country essentially and no ruling.
Wow.
So there was civil war.
So, and who were they? And they were civil war. Was it obviously politically driven?
Yes, because there was no political. There was no political
like
reasoning.
Agenda or anything.
There's no agenda. The U.S. just said, "Hey, here's Liberia. We're going to send you back on a boat or however." And
where's Liberia located?
West Africa, on the complete
West
edge.
Africa. Wow.
Easiest point to get to the U.S.
Okay, that's insane. And so now, have you gone back to either country ever?
Panama. I just played in Panama for winter ball.
Okay.
So that was a great experience. I got to meet my cousins and family. I saw where my dad lived.
Was that cool to go back?
Yeah, my dad lived in the jungle.
Yeah.
And I actually had a crazy story for you. It was like I almost died when I was in Panama.
You did?
In the jungle, yeah.
Wow.
I got dengue fever and I got bit by a third world mosquito.
Wow.
And there's no cure for it or anything. And I'm sitting there like I was playing ball, so like my team was kind of worried about me.
Yeah.
They almost told me I couldn't fly home. That if I don't get better here, it's kind of just over. And like imagine you're sitting in a bed in Panama in a third world country. You're fighting for your career. And now you're fighting for your life.
That's why I'm just like staying here in America. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I be telling people, when it comes to traveling and shit like that, why don't you want to travel? You build up a company, you're successful, and it's like, man, I could just Google it. You don't know what the hell's out there. A jungle? You know what I mean? Like, you probably think there's a panther and all these different snakes and shit. Like, man, just to get taken out by a mosquito.
Literally. I was like, a mosquito got me. I could have been anywhere.
Nah, man. That's what's so beautiful about this massive planet that we just know absolutely nothing about. Yeah. I was trying to watch this dinosaur show here recently, and I'm just sitting there like, I swear they rename these things every 5-6 years, bro. You know what I mean? Just come up with different theories and, find different bones and different discoveries. And I was listening to a pastor today, and he was like, could you imagine, like, can you think back to 100 years ago and wrap your mind around the details of life 100 years ago? Probably not.
Nah.
Imagine 14.6 billion years ago when they're like, well, here's our projections of what dinosaurs were doing 14.6 billion years ago. Like, I don't know what I did yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, you're telling me some individual that has contributed to the world that we live in right now has identified what a T-Rex was doing and if a T-Rex even existed. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I think for me, when I look at that standpoint for the world, it's like, why am I listening to one sole person? The same thing you're saying. It's like I question.
Oh yeah, I question everything.
This dude's telling me this on the media, and I see that dude every day.
I just Google it, and then I just get paranoid about Google and everything, and I just
who's really behind all of it?
Yeah, who's behind everything? So now, as you're growing up, and your parents put everything together, obviously, so you could have a successful life, and they wanted to take care of you. What do you think the motive was? Two individuals that that didn't necessarily plan on having the situation that they had. How have you ever asked them, or from your observation of what was the motive of uniting to make sure you were taken care of?
A big drive for that, I would say honestly, is that they didn't have a lot of guidance in life, and they saw me as that guidance. Like,
yeah.
Now
you have siblings though.
Yeah, of course, but my dad, my dad had never had a kid before, so it was just my mom. They weren't together, so my mom had a different.
Okay.
Yeah, so my sister lived with us, but I got to really see.
And she's older, and she's half sister.
Yes.
Okay.
Sister, yes,
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I think that was being able to put it together because my sister was already knew how bad the life was as far as for my mom already. So when I came about, my mom saw it as opportunity to be like, I'm not gonna mess this one up. Like this kid right here deserves the world. I know we're not together. Like, I'm not gonna do this again. I don't want him to go through any harder times than we went through.
Yeah.
Back in Panama, back in Liberia. Why would I put my son through no father, no mother?
Yeah.
You know, like there's nothing in my eyes that would say, let's do this, let's do that. You know, and my mom really put that forth into me in my career, saying like, everything you do in life, you got to do it 100%.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be in this country right now if I didn't put 100% to it.
Yeah, not at all, especially with your parents preceding that. And that's another thing I like to think about is I don't know if I heard on a podcast or if I read somewhere that if you realized you almost died from dengue fever, and we are in, was that 2023?
Yes, it was December.
So the medicine, technology, and the advancement that we have today, you would agree is the best it's ever been.
It has to be, right?
Worldwide, has to be. There, how far back do you think you go? Well, like, what are your religious beliefs?
My religious beliefs, I kind of see it as an open eye. I like to, of course, I believe in God, and I believe I came up in that system.
Whatever. How long do you think the world's been around?
Trillions.
Trillions of years. So let's say the world's been around for trillions of years. Okay. So do you believe there was a point of origin that started and led up to you? Or do you, like...
I do believe that, actually, because I have an evolution tattoo that runs across, and I believe that everybody has this story of like who they were before this time, and when they get to this time now, like, there's everything happened for a reason.
Exactly. Yeah. So now, talking on a human though form of like when we were all just humans.
We were all just humans.
Yes, not the frog theory and all of that, but more so humans to where you're at now. Let's say there was 1,000 generations prior to you.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's 1,000 grandfathers, whatever it might be, prior to you.
Oh.
Every single one of them, grandmothers and grandfathers, mothers and fathers, great-grandmothers, great-grandfathers, had to reach the age of reproduction, like being able to reproduce, and then raise those children, or at least put them in a position where they were able to reproduce, to then obviously have you.
That's crazy.
Without the medicine, without the technology, with war, with dinosaurs, with giant bears, you know what I mean? With everything that we are completely oblivious to.
Yeah, you don't put that in perspective when you look at it now. It's like, holy cow, everything had to be perfect.
Yeah, bro.
Everything had to be perfect.
Like how the odds of you being here, the odds of you being in the position that you're in, the odds of you being successful, the odds of you being born in America, man, it's not even a 1 in a trillion chance. I've studied the math briefly, and it's really almost not even able to be mathed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On like the odds, if we're really to calculate all the details of your success and the position how old are you?
22.
22 years old. And the path that you're on, man, it's incredible. You know what I mean? It's really incredible to stop and think. And it's like those thoughts and reflection and putting things into a perspective like that, that's the key that most entrepreneurs miss out on, and most, athletes miss out on, that separates what's the dude's name? Drew
Maggi. Yeah.
Drew Maggi. That separates the Drew Maggies from the Drew Maggi that quit and gave up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like that no name that could have been the Drew Maggi. There's nothing special about Drew Maggi.
He just kept going.
He just kept going. You know what I mean? And it's like in those nights and those days that you want to quit, you want to give up, when you put things into perspective and realize you really didn't come this far to just come this far. Because there was 10,000 grandfathers that had to survive, you know what I mean, like Siberian tigers and lions and bears and dengue fevers, and you can't even imagine everything that they had to go through. You know what I mean? If I don't have Tylenol for a headache right now, I feel like I would die. You know what I mean? So I can't even imagine getting a headache 1,000 years ago and just having to rub a leaf in your mouth or something. Like,
hoping that's the right leaf,
yeah,
right? Like,
hoping that's the right leaf.
Is that poison, or is this medicine?
Like how many people had to die to just figure out like the non-poisonous and poisonous, things to eat, consume, what were allergies like? It's like, man, it's incredible.
Well, isn't that what's kind of like going on right now with Elon? Like, he's doing the whole Neuralink stuff.
Yeah.
And they're trying to block him from doing that because they're like, people will die.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know that, but more people will live in the long run.
Yeah.
And it's like that perspective people miss out on.
Yeah, as long as they don't test out on me, I'm cool.
Don't ask me to put a chip
Yeah,
in.
no, don't ask me. We could put it in someone else, and I could use a remote controller to use them, if that's all right. But other than that, no. Man, let's jump around. I got some stats here on you and some information, I think. So we'll talk on those a little bit.
Okay.
Who'd your dad play for?
He played for the Expos and Brewers.
Okay. Now the Brewers, where they're Boston?
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. Okay. And then where's the Expos?
That was Montreal. They're not a team anymore.
Montreal. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. What's some of the history on him playing?
So some of the history on my dad playing, he was one of the top hitters at the Arizona, or the Arizona League is what they call it.
Yeah.
And Arizona League is like where you're either going to the big leagues or you either like make it or you kind of stay in AAA.
Now, does everyone go to Arizona for that league?
No. Well, and everyone, it plays in Arizona, and it
Okay.
plays in, it's called the Cactus League.
Okay.
And so he was like one of the best hitters there and kind of made his name for himself,
Yeah.
being like a really good shortstop, really athletic. He ended up having 6 surgeries, so he's gone through a lot of adversity.
What were the surgeries?
He had 2 knee replacements and 2 shoulder replacements and an elbow replacement.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Tommy John?
Tommy John and a broken humerus bone
Ooh.
at the same
What
time.
about you? Any injuries yet?
Yeah, so I actually went through like the hardest injury of my life. I had no injuries up until really freshman year of college. I got like a bunch of concussions, and they kind of like put me out.
How?
The first one, what happened was one of my outfielders, I'm going for a ball and the sun kind of hits in my eye. He doesn't realize that the sun's in my eye and I can't see it. And so he calls me off, but at the same time he's looking at the ball and ran right into me. So now I get hit, the ball hits me in the face and I'm on the ground like, what's going on?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so that was the first one, and I had a huge concussion spree. Didn't get hurt. Got to UAS, and I had a shoulder surgery on my whole shoulder reconstruction.
What happened to the shoulder?
One day, I got out of COVID. I kid you not, I was in COVID protocol for like 27 days. Season starts. I get to practice the first day out of COVID. We have a game. So I didn't get any practice or nothing. I'm sitting in the room. The coach is like, hey, let's go out to the field. I'm like, all right, cool. I start throwing. He's like, how do you feel? I'm like, I feel good. I threw one from the outfield. He's like, you want to do IO? IO is infield, outfield. I go to throw a ball from the outfield. I was like, coach, my arm's gone. And at that moment, I was like scared that I just lost it all. And I was like, no, I can't think like that. I got to think, okay, if this happens, I call my dad. I'm like, Dad, my arm's blown out. I'm like, Dad, how did you deal with this stuff? And he goes, you just deal with it.
Yeah.
He's like, you go get your surgery. That's the first step. And you do the rehab better than you've ever done before.
Yeah.
You train harder than you've ever done before. Everybody gives up on you. You have surgery. Because, nobody ever saw me get hurt. So a lot of people gave up on me. And that's cool.
Yeah.
Honestly, my motivation right now is the fact that I can get up every day and still do what I do.
Yeah.
Because so many people didn't think I'd even be
That
here.
underdog.
Yeah.
That's fire.
So
what are some, like, shortstop, is that a position you play as well then?
I'm an outfielder.
Outfielder?
Outfielder.
Center, right?
Center, main, but I play all 3 in pro ball now.
Okay, let's go.
So
Center, you got to be the fastest, right?
yes, sir.
Let's go.
Sound pretty fast.
What's your is it first base they time you?
They do 60-yard dashes or first to home.
Okay.
times.
What are those for you?
My first to home, I've ran like a 3.78, but I'm usually like 3.9.
Yeah.
In a game, I'll be like a 3.9. I have to be.
Yeah.
That's what I wanna
who's
do.
the fastest in the league?
I think Otani is.
The Chinese guy?
Yeah, the dude that throws hard and hits. Yeah, I
Yeah?
think he's the fastest in the league.
Man.
Him and Trey Turner.
What are their times like?
3.7, 3.8, 3.9.
Oh, wow. So you're quick. Let me see here. Let's jump into this clothing company a little bit. Is it called Also Known As?
Yeah, it's also known as AKA. It's a brand I started with actually my roommate in college at the time.
Okay.
His name is Luke Fitton. He's a pro ball now. And Zion Pedigree. He's with the Nationals. And so one day I came to them. I was like, hey, I want to start this clothing company. Like, I got this idea that I think I really like. I'm big on clothes and high fashion in the sense of I don't like to spend a lot of money on clothes, but I like to look like I look like I have the good fit. I got the Instagram pic. That's me, and I wanted to make a clothing company and a clothing brand where people could have affordable clothing and still look good, still have that cool Supreme looking like shirt.
Yeah.
And so right now we're in the process of dropping our first drop, which is going to be hoodies and shirts, and I actually have the shirt on now.
Okay.
And our characters on the back. I don't know if you want me to show you.
Go
that.
ahead.
Yeah, I'd love to show you.
Show it all around, dude.
Yeah. So this is our kind of our concept is to.
That's dope. Yeah. Hit it on the
yeah.
camera. Maybe do a little more on the camera. Yeah, we'll adjust it all. Who cares? There it is, guys. That's the character. Is that going to go on everything?
It's going to be on pretty much everything. We're doing stickers and stuff like that. But the real reason that we did all those colors, so we just had a blank character to start.
Okay.
And I wanted to find something where everybody can feel together because I've never felt that in my life going to Barrington, being the outsider and outlier.
Yep.
I was like, all these colors go together. They're not supposed to. How can we make them look good? And me and my designer came up with the design. I was like, you have all these colors. We have 12 different colors in there.
And it's your roommate.
Yeah, so my roommate, Zion, Pedigree. And Fitton.
Okay. And so what's the meaning behind the design?
The meaning behind the design is the fact that, like, No, so we're going to the African Fest actually. So most
Okay.
people don't know that's a big announcement. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're doing the
Little-
African
little
Fest. Yeah, and this year we're going to be putting the African flag inside of our character.
Yeah.
And that.
Is that for all of Africa?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
so there's a continental flag.
So there's a continental colorway essentially. It's like a patch pattern that they have.
Wow.
And it really represents Africa because that's the type of clothing we wear. So you see an African, you see a real true African.
Yeah.
They're wearing
like,
the garments.
Is it like black, red, yellow?
Yeah, black, red, yellow,
Maybe
green.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's kind of what we call it is dashiki.
Oh,
Yeah,
yep.
it's called a dashiki.
Yeah.
So
That's fire.
we're putting the dashiki inside of our design, and then we're gonna have our logo here inside of an Africa outline.
What's your how are you gonna generate leads? What are you gonna what's the business plan model? Have you drawn something up?
Yeah. So the business plan and the model right now is we're targeting athletes.
Okay.
So that's our big thing right now. Is I know a lot of athletes. Obviously, being an athlete, I'm going straight to my guys that hey, they want to support right away. They know I'm not gonna bring them some bogus ideas, scam my friends. I'm not like that at all. So when I went to them and I was like, hey, I want you to wear this and see what you like. Think about it. I send them shirts. And now finally I've sent enough shirts out to enough people where the marketing's going to handle itself when I finally.
Where'd you get that idea?
Honestly, a lot of books. I read, Napoleon Hill. So he came out with Master the Key to Riches. And one of the Master Key to Riches is using,
book.
Yeah, is having an outstretched hand to those above you and always having an outstretched hand to those that are under you. And so when I read that, I was like, I'm going to be the middle ground. How do I help somebody above me with the people in the MLB, the guys that will wear my clothing? And then I also give clothes to the college kids that want to have the representation, want to have a clothing brand behind them.
Yep.
So I went to one of my football player guys. He's at OSU right now. I can't drop names yet, but
Yeah.
he's going to be one of our main brand representatives as far as sports and athletes. And then Ryan Ritter, I can drop that name because that's my guy.
Yeah.
He's going to be our other guy. So
That's fire.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
That's fire. What do you think will make your clothing company different
From others?
from others? You know what I mean? It's like if you wanted to secure, are you going to raise any capital or anything like that, or is it just going to all be bootstrapped?
So it's not going to all be bootstrapped essentially because one of my Zion's dad, he's big in the weed industry and the cannabis industry. So he kind of put us on, he kind of showed us the way, he took us out, and he really was like a mentor in a sense.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is what you guys got to do. His mom owns a marketing company, so we're going to be going to her about the marketing. And he's already scaled, the brand's called Viola. They actually just, the first black-owned weed business in Chicago.
Wow.
So they just opened, and he was like really big for me. He was like, only go where you're liked in the sense of you're going to feel represented.
Yeah.
Only do this, only do that. And I took all those lessons and I put it in my company.
Yeah. Love to get him on the podcast.
That's something I definitely could talk to him and try and set up.
Yeah, dude.
That'd be
awesome. I like this a lot. You know what I mean? So I wish you the best with doing it. And so just like anything, that's the Drew Maggie. Just don't give up. You'll make it eventually. You know what I mean? So listen, I went to the hot yoga this morning. I think I took you once or twice in Wexford.
That one was easier.
No, they cranked this sucker up to 200 degrees. This is yoga in the sauna, and I mean this. I don't know. You know what I mean? I just was gone. The last 5 minutes, I was in heaven. And you know what I mean? Like,
It's definitely a great
what's harder, hot yoga or the jujitsu? Like a long jujitsu, rolling around the mat. You really get into it.
definitely jujitsu. You know what I mean? Like, yoga's never made me thrown up. Close, but like jujitsu, I've thrown up. You know
How
what
long
I
you
mean?
been
Like,
doing it?
probably about 2 years now. Coming up on 2 years.
Dude, okay,
Yeah, about 2 years. You know what I mean? From, busted lips. I had a torn meniscus. That's pretty much my injuries. Really messed up eye. I think I had like a gouged eye for like a couple days, week. You know what I mean?
You'd like rolling around with my cousin. My cousin, he's legit.
Yeah.
He was a state wrestler.
Yeah,
all that type of
I don't like rolling around with people that are good.
That's my first time. I went one time. So going back to that, like I went back one time.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever went back because I was like this 40-year-old man just
Yeah.
put me
No.
in
See,
an
like
armbar.
the people I target is like small kids, girls.
What are you working on today? Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
As long as they definitely look like they suck, I'll roll with them. But I'm playing. So who do you love the most in this world? Like if they died, it would break you a little bit.
My mother.
Your mother.
My mother.
She is probably 40, 50,
My mom's older. She's 66.
66.
Yeah.
So let's say she gets to 100. You know what I mean? She got 30. We take that 30. She got a little less Fridays than you.
Yeah.
That's why I was telling everybody, and I was telling myself more than I was telling them, it is so important you treat every single second. As soon as you leave this motherfucker, like every second, dog, like it's your last. Every second. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to be waiting around. Because how many of those Fridays is she going to be physically able and healthy and be able to enjoy them and present? You know, I lost my pap a couple years back to Alzheimer's. Yeah. Those last couple years, the motherfucker was like this.
Right. No, right.
You know what I mean? Like just not, and anybody on it's like, let's just be real. I'm not trying to offend anybody. But that's why, like, I go so hard, man. Like, it's like, I'm not a robot. You know, I like to stimulate my mind, watch Family Guy. Like,
there's work to be done.
There's work to be done because my mom only got so many Fridays left. I'm a human being. I only got so many Fridays left. And so it's so important with the people you surround yourself with, how you spend your time, your perspective and everything. This life is so simple. If people just locked in and were patient and persistent like Drew Maggie,
they get what they want.
Get what you want and more. Get what you want more, man.
Because you don't realize what's on the other end.
Exactly.
You only see the success that you only get so as far as you see.
Yeah,
as far as your eye can see. If you're the kid that has all the aspirations in the world and you want to do this, and that, but you don't actually see that, and when you don't tell nobody, you keep it in your room, you keep it in your journal, that's never going to come out.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I think it's so amazing that we have these platforms nowadays. Our parents didn't have TikTok, Instagram to just show everybody what we do.
Yeah.
We're so gifted in this society to be able to post something online and get millions of dollars from it.
Literally.
And not enough people people hate on social media.
Yeah.
It's like use it to your advantage and finally take grasp of what's right in front of you.
Yeah, if you don't use it, it'll use you.
And that's all it does. You just watch it, scroll. Done for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Scroll. Like,
yeah,
we can't do anything without it. And yeah, it's gotten to that point where we really can't because it's social media.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like, everything matters. Every second matters. Every time you're on your phone, don't be on social media not working, trying to make money.
Literally.
I think Brittany Griner just said, she said, all I see is checks, and I'm not talking about verified checks. All I see is money.
Yeah.
Because in my DMs.
You know, it's crazy. I think she had said recently, it was a very surreal moment hearing the national anthem as she just played one of her first games. ESPN put it up there. The comments were kind of vicious. They were kind of funny though, but they were a little mean. But she had said she was one of the ones previously that would kneel during the national anthem. Which do what you want to do. Mm-hmm. I personally am a patriot. I would say for our family.
I got a lot of military family as well. So.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, patriotism and everything like that. I absolutely love America, but seeing and hearing her say that of like it was surreal, and I'm grateful to be back in this country because being in another country where they were telling you your freedom is limited to what we say, what we feel, when we feel like it, how we feel like it. And we can do what we want with your life. And subscribe. We are the number. Let's see where we're ranked. We're the 1300th number one podcast in the world, but
soon to be number one.